This video will focus on describing grammar and vocabulary that is useful when writing, reading, listening, or even speaking texts that involve cause-effect actions. So what is a cause and an effect? We've talked about these words already, but a cause is something that creates a result, and that result is the effect. So the cause is the thing that happens before, and the effect comes after. We're going to learn about some phrases that sometimes are called discourse markers by linguists. In everyday English, we tend to use the phrases transition words or phrases or signal words and phrases. And the reason we call them transition or signal words and phrases is that they transition from one idea to another idea, or they signal a relationship between these ideas. Let's look at the most common transition word for cause and effect texts, and that's the word so. So is considered a coordinating conjunction in English, which means that we'll have one sentence, and then we connect it to a second sentence with the comma and the word so. Let's look at some examples. There is a civil war in the country, comma, so many people have abandoned their farms. So here is a connector. What happened first? The civil war. And then people abandoned their farms. So is a connector that helps show us that the abandoning the farms is a result of the previous action, which was the Civil War. Here's another example. The region is experiencing a terrible drought. There should be a comma there, so farmers cannot grow much food. And then in our last one, the price of food imports has increased. There should be a comma, so people cannot afford to buy food. In each of these cases, we have the cause first, then we have the so, and then we have the result or the negative effect. Now there's another set of words that are similar to the way the word because functions. And how these words work is that we put this transition word with the cause, and we let it signal then to the listener or the reader that this is the reason that created the effect. Let's look at some examples. And these words are because, since, or due to. So many people are food insecure because food prices are too high. So food prices being too high happens first, and they cause people to become food insecure. So here we have kind of the opposite of the word so. So we have the cause, so effect. Here we put the effect, then the word because, or the word since, or the word due to, and then we have the cause. So some families have left their village since there is not enough food. Since functions like because. Since tells us what happened first. What is the cause? Not enough food. If there's not enough food, then families leave the village. Due to can also function similarly, but the difference with the word due to is it is not followed by a complete sentence. It's just followed by a noun phrase. So we have children have stopped going to school due to sickness. Sickness happens first, and then children can't go to school because they're sick. You'll notice in each of these, there's no comma. So with so, we have to put a comma, and then we put so. But these do not require the words, the comma. They can just be added on. They're dependent clauses. We could also place these at the beginning of the sentence. If we do that, if we put the because or the since or the due to at the beginning of the sentence, then we need to separate the cause part from the effect part with a comma in the middle. So we see our example here, because food prices are too high, comma, many people are food insecure. Since there is not enough food, comma, some families have left the village. Due to sickness, comma, children have stopped going to school. So we have a choice here with phrases like because, since, and due to. We can put them second in the sentence, or we can put them first in the sentence. But if we do that, we need to have a comma separating the cause from the effect. Let's look at one last set. These are some adverbial phrases. They function like adverbs, and they are also used to show the effect of something. When we use these phrases like therefore, as a result, consequently, hence, or thus, some of these are very academic phrases, and we would not use them in fluent conversational English, except for maybe as a result, maybe therefore, but consequently, hence, thus, these are very academic phrases that we generally only see in written English or very formal English. And they occur after we have an explanation of all of the causes. We describe the causes and what they do. And then at the end of maybe a paragraph, we might say, therefore, or as a result, or hence, or consequently, or thus, the effect. So we might have a sentence that talks about how there's not much food in the country, and that people can't buy food and families can't afford it. And then we might finish in that section and say, therefore, millions of children are at risk of malnutrition. Or we might have another one that talks about how malnutrition is a big problem and people don't have enough to eat, their bodies get sick and they can't grow well. As a result, the infant mortality rate has decreased. Okay. Maybe we have a paragraph where we're talking about violence in the country and there's protests against the government and it's not safe to be in the streets, and businesses that try to open have problems. Thus, many businesses have shut down. So we use these phrases at the end of a detailed explanation of the causes, and then we list that effect at the end, and we can use these adverb phrases like therefore, as a result, or thus. So we've talked about a variety of different discourse markers, or we call them sometimes transition words or signal words, that can be used to show the reader cause and effect. You can use these in your own writing or your own speech, and they will help your readers or your listeners better understand the relationships between ideas. And as you are a listener or a reader, you can look for these transition words or phrases to help you recognize what is the cause and what is the effect.